The Broncos have traded for Zach Wilson, and I'm not very excited about it. The jokes are already writing themselves. I'm not super stoked about this move, but I can also recognize this is a very low-risk move where it's not going to be something that blows up in your face as long as you promise Sean and George to make another quarterback addition in the draft. But if this is the move the Broncos are making to get another quarterback in, we're going to have a problem. So let me open the floor before we get into the nuts and bolts of today's show. Do you like trading for Zach Wilson? Yes or no? Like, on one hand, it's a day 3 pick swap. It costs you absolutely nothing. And maybe Sean Payton can come in there and turn around Zach Wilson's career. I mean, just think about Sean Payton for a moment and his history. Go back to even before the Saints. He was with the Giants coaching staff. Kerry Collins was about to be out of the league after the way he started in Carolina. And then he goes to New York and he has some success with Sean Payton. And then he plays another decade plus. Drew Brees was a hot commodity in free agency that year, but he wasn't a surefire thing from the Chargers. He was coming off a major shoulder injury. And we know how the rest goes for Brees in New Orleans. Teddy Bridgewater, like, when that injury happened in Minnesota, the reports were that players were, like, physically ill watching what happened to Bridgewater. He goes down to New Orleans. He backs up Sean Payton. He gets to start a handful of games when Brees gets hurt, and he cashes in big time. Gets a contract from the Panthers. Of course, plays for the Broncos. Like, Sean Payton has had a history of taking quarterbacks that maybe weren't the most popular quarterbacks across the league and turning them out to be pretty good players. So that's kind of like a half-glass full approach. The half-glass empty approach is Zach Wilson sucks. He does. I think Jarrett Stidham is a better quarterback than Zach Wilson. So you did not improve the quarterback room. You maybe have some better competition to be the backup, but I don't think Zach Wilson is good. And in fact, I think he's the opposite of what Sean Payton looks for in a good quarterback. Like, Sean Payton wants a quarterback that makes great decision-making skills, an elite processor that can read a defense pre-snap. Zach Wilson has none of those traits. He just has a huge arm. It's not like Sean Payton needed that from Drew Brees. So I'm not super stoked about the trade, but I can also recognize that this is a very low-risk, type of high-reward situation that, as long as you promise to make another pick in the draft at quarterback, we'll have no issues. But if they go into 2024 with the quarterback room of Jarrett Stidham, Zach Wilson, and Ben DiNucci, this is going to be embarrassing. It's truly going to be the most embarrassing team in football. Like, this is going to be the worst quarterback competition we've ever seen in recent memory. So, mixed emotions. Which quarterback should the Broncos draft? What do you guys think? Bo Nix, Michael Penix, JJ McCarthy? You know, it'd be the absolute dream. Like, the type of stuff they'd make a movie about, like Draft Day 2.0. If Drake Maye somehow falls a little bit, and Denver moves up to get Drake Maye, and it didn't cost them heaven and earth. Like, let's say it goes Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels, the Vikings trade up to number 3 with the Patriots. They go JJ McCarthy. The Cardinals go Marvin Harrison at 4. The Chargers go Malik Neighbors or Joe Alt. And Denver jumps up with the Giants at 6. I don't know why New York would pass on May. And they get Drake Maye, and all it cost them was a future first. Like, that'd be the absolute dream for Denver. I don't think that dream's a reality, though. All right. So before we get into a full breakdown on this trade and the details surrounding it, quick shout out to our sponsor, though, for helping to provide support for the Broncos Breakdown. It is game time. Spring is here, which means, Rockies fans may not want to go see the Rockies, but the Nuggets, the daddies of the Lakers, you've got the Avalanche. If they can get their goaltending straightened out, they could be poised for another deep run. So if you want to go catch a local sporting event, a concert, or anything else in your area, download the Game Time app and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. I love that Game Time gives you a view from your seats before you purchase your tickets, so there are no surprises when you show up. Plus, hidden fees suck, but Game Time gives you an all-in price option, so you really know how much the tickets are going to cost. It's the best place to find last-minute seats. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use code CHAT SPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So let's get back to the question we were just on. Which quarterback should Denver draft? What is the consensus? Seeing Michael Penix, Bo Nix from Justin. I like Penix. Penix was my favorite, like that second tier coming into the draft process. And I don't want to say I've cooled off on Penix, but I do think it's worth noting that as we get closer to the draft, both of his starting tackles and 3 wide receivers, Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, and Jalen McMillan, are all going to get drafted in the top 100. Maybe that's why he was so successful.
Yeah.
I think that's got to factor into the decision a little bit. I'll also add one more thing. And I was a big Penix guy. The Seahawks hired Washington's offensive coordinator to their coaching staff.
And their offensive line coach.
And their offensive line coach, thank you. If the Seahawks pass on Penix with those 2 guys in the building, shouldn't that say a lot?
It's a little different circumstances, but I get where you're coming from.
I mean, if those guys knew what Penix was fully capable of, I think they would go behind Schneider's back and get fired over it if they were that confident.
Maybe.
So, just some food for thought.
That's fair.
I still like Penix. I don't know if Penix is exactly what Sean Payton looks for in a quarterback, but beggars can't be choosers when you're in round 2 and you just traded for Zach Wilson. You may not have your pick of the litter. So, with that in mind, after trading for Zach Wilson, I don't think that should alter draft strategy whatsoever. Zach Wilson is purely an insurance. In case you don't get the quarterback you wanted, at least you have another quarterback in the room. Whereas if you waited till after the draft, what if another team traded for Zach Wilson, and then you don't have a rookie or another guy in the room, and it's just Stidham and DiNucci? That would be a nightmare scenario. So should Denver go QB at pick number 12? Draft or pass? What do you guys think? I don't think, JKM, does this change the Broncos draft? I don't think it changes it. I think it gives them some slack. A little bit of a reliever of, if we don't get the guy we wanted to in day 2, at least we're not completely SOL. Although I don't think Zach Wilson really repairs much. It's just better than, I don't even know. It's not good. I'm not excited about this trade. I'm not excited at all. No. Everyone's agreeing with Jose. What does Jose say? Can I find Jose's comment?
Brock Bowers, 12, and 3rd round, Michael Pratt, is what he says.
I'm looking for it. Oh, there it is. Yep. Hey, Jose, I love that idea. I really like Brock Bowers for Denver. I like Brock Bowers for all 32 teams. I just think he's the most surefire thing. And if not for playing the tight end position, he would be going way earlier in the draft. But teams just don't value tight end as much as they do other spots. We've only had 2 tight ends go in the top 10 of the draft. And I want to say the last 10 to 15 years. Kyle Pitts and TJ Hawkinson.
Was Ebron? No, Ebron wasn't.
Eric Ebron to the Giants was not top 10.
Yeah, he was just outside,
I can't remember another top 10 tight end. So I think Brock Bowers, if you're looking for a pick that you know is going to be a good football player, and sure, you probably have other fish to fry and it may not be your biggest need, but if you want the no doubter, Brock Bowers is taking out your 5-iron and just hitting it down the middle of the fairway. You might be able to drive the green with Bo Nix, or maybe you'll be in the woods searching for your ball for 20 minutes. I don't think Denver can afford to be searching for their ball for 20 minutes. You have another one?
Eric Ebron was. He was 10th to the Lions.
Oh, that's not fucking bullshit. I said the Giants. Okay, no, I was thinking of what Giants tight end that's on the Jags right now.
Yes. Oh my God, no.
He had all the drops.
Yep, I remember.
Oh my gosh, what's his name? This is bad radio.
This is really bad.
I'm really embarrassed right now.
Oh my God. Eric. No. Oh my God. I was about to say, keep
What
running
is
it.
it? Evan Ingram!
Evan Ingram.
That's
It was another E.
I knew it was an E. Good job, Michael. Michael gets my job for the day, I think.
Yeah.
Ingram. Okay, so
That's embarrassing.
Yeah. What did Ingram go? I think that's what I was thinking when I said Giants. I was thinking of Evan Ingram the whole time.
Also, Kellen Winslow
Winslow to the Bucks?
to the Browns.
Okay.
2004 went
I was thinking
sixth.
of senior, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see. Yeah.
Okay. Let's get into it. Before we do, we'll quickly hit the news of the new uniforms. Just get a quick pulse check here. Do we like them? I liked them more than I thought I would because the leaks were accurate. Just throw them on screen, Colin, really quickly. You guys can, look at them yourselves for a second here. I like the new unis. I do. I don't think they're as bad as some people have made them out. Are they the best uniforms in the NFL? No. But I'll put it this way. They're better than their old uniforms. I think if the goal was to get better uniforms, which was probably the goal, they accomplished that goal. Are they instantly top 5? Probably not, no. But I think they are an improvement from their previous uniforms. I would have preferred maybe a few less triangles. It's a little Illuminati. And with the airport, I think there's just a little bit too much going on over there to have all the triangles. But I can get behind them. Plus, I just love the sunset orange. That is just like the most Sherwin-Williams thing I've ever seen in my life. I like it.
Yeah,
Summit White, Midnight Navy. That's cool. I like it. All right, let's talk about the Zach Wilson trade though. Let's break it down and kind of go through everything that we know, the pros, the cons, and my reaction to the trade and whatnot. Which, spoiler, I'm not crazy about it. Producer Colin, are we ready to jump into the show? All right, you want to let DK know we're starting? Okay. All right. Here we go. Let's discuss the Zach Wilson trade from the New York Jets to the Denver Broncos for virtually a bag of peanuts, which maybe I'd rather have a bag of peanuts than Zach Wilson. I'm gonna take it one step further. I'd rather have a bag of peanuts than Zach. I like peanuts too. I'd rather have a bag of peanuts. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. All right, here we go. Zach Wilson has been traded to the Broncos, and I'm not super excited about it. It doesn't cost him much, so we'll kind of start right there that the Broncos are giving up virtually nothing. It is a bag of peanuts, and I think you can make a good argument for the bag of peanuts over Zach Wilson. The jokes also write themselves, but the trade goes down as a minimal day 3 pick swap. So if your reasoning for trading for Zach Wilson that you don't like it is because they gave up too much, stop. They gave up nothing. They gave up a 6 and got a 7th back. They moved back about 50 spots in the draft. So they have the honor to pick someone that will be off the team at 256 instead of 207 within the next 3 years. So before I give you the nuts and bolts of the trade and my reaction to it, this is why you subscribe to the channel. We're live right now here on the Broncos Breakdown reacting to this trade. So anytime big news goes down, we go live here. We get you guys a video as soon as possible. So make sure to subscribe so you do not miss out on more breaking news coming out throughout the NFL draft. Now, let's get into my reaction to the trade. No risk. We can just kind of look at it that way. I just think it's embarrassing. I just think for a team and a franchise that has had such turbulence at the quarterback position since Peyton Manning retired, just optics-wise, it looks awful. And Broncos country across the country are just getting shit from all their coworkers and friends and family. Oh my goodness. Imagine a Broncos quarterback battle of Jarrett Stidham, Ben DiNucci, and Zach Wilson. I sure hope that's not going to be the quarterback battle. I don't think trading for Zach Wilson removes you from drafting a quarterback. But just the optics-wise, it doesn't help out a fan base that has been the laughingstock of looking for a quarterback for the last 10 years almost now. And your solution, the only move you made so far is, let's go get Zach Wilson, the failed 2nd overall pick of the draft. I mean, there's no argument that Zach Wilson has been a major disappointment with the Jets. And I've seen him play for 3 seasons now where I can confidently say, I don't think he's turning a corner. Now, Zach Wilson, when you look at the play style, this is what really makes me scratch my head if I'm Sean Payton. He's a worse Russell Wilson. When you go back to what Sean Payton was infuriated by that Russell Wilson did, It was hold on to the football too long, specifically taking too many sacks, and not staying on schedule. Go talk to Jets fans about Zach Wilson's biggest weaknesses. Everything I just said about Russell Wilson last year applies to Zach Wilson. So I'm failing to see how Zach Wilson is going to bring anything to this quarterback room that Sean Payton is going to like. Now, Sean Payton does have a history of saving quarterbacks' careers a little bit. I don't want to give him all the credit, but you go back to his early days, like with the Giants, Kerry Collins. I mean, the older folks watching this right now will remember that Kerry Collins did not have a great start to his career and was looking like he'd be out of the league within 5-6 seasons. He ends up playing, 15 years in the NFL? And a big reason was because of Sean Payton in New York. Drew Brees with the San Diego Chargers suffers a shoulder injury, and it's not like Drew Brees was chopped liver. He was the first pick in round 2 when he got drafted. He was highly pursued in free agency by New Orleans and, ready for this, Nick Saban in Miami. Ultimately, why Saban left the Dolphins, because he didn't get Drew Brees. But still, Brees comes over after a major shoulder injury, and we all know what the rest of the history has entailed for him in New Orleans. And then you had Teddy Bridgewater, a guy who suffered a horrific injury with the Vikings, and he goes down to New Orleans, backs up Brees, starts a few games for Drew when he gets injured, and then he gets a big payday from the Carolina Panthers and, of course, plays for the Broncos. So I do want to be a little bit of an optimist, and that's just kind of the way I've always been as a sports fan, but I'm really struggling to wrap my head around this one being a move that results in any type of good play for the Denver Broncos. Do you like trading for Zach Wilson? Yes or no? For me, I'm not too upset about it, other than just the optics of this fan base has already been through so much, and now you're putting them through the jokes that are coming. The moment Zach Wilson got traded from the Jets to the Broncos, producer Sam Brown here at Chat Sports was like, well, at least he'll be closer to home and all of his friends' moms. The jokes just don't stop coming. Now, this could signal a slight draft strategy. I don't think trading for Zach Wilson means we're not getting a quarterback. If it does, I'll throw up. My suspicion is this is Denver going, we have a pretty good idea of where quarterbacks are going to go. And unless some things break our way, we may not get our top guy. So better now to add to the quarterback room than wait until after the draft when maybe Zach Wilson got shipped off somewhere else and then there's really no one left. And then it is Jarrett Stidham and Ben DiNucci competing for the starting job. I think that adding Zach Wilson does not prohibit the Broncos from drafting a quarterback. If it does, we're going to actually have a riot in our hands. We are going to storm the palace. Okay? I'll be the Shane Kai-Shek if I have to. But I do not think that adding him means we're not drafting a QB. I just think it means we have a backup plan. And that's not a bad thing to have. You should always have plan B. Right? Plan B is a good plan. Right? Not as good as plan A, but still good to have plan B. I think that's all what this is. I'm also just kind of hoping that's all what this is. All right, before we get on to the rest of today's show and reaction, quick word from our friends at Game Time. Spring is here, which means we've got baseball, playoff basketball, playoff hockey, and you should not have to miss any of the action for Denver sports or any other sporting team in your local area, plus concerts and so much more. And download the Game Time app today, and they're going to give you guys $20 off when you use code CHATSPORTS when entering and signing up for Game Time. Now, one of my favorite features about Game Time is the all-in price option. You don't have to get fooled by clicking through a whole bunch of tickets and getting to the checkout portion and realizing with taxes and fees, the ticket price nearly doubles. With Game Time, you can actually see that price right from the start. So download Game Time today and use that code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. It's basically like Game Time is going to take care of your parking or your first concession run. So I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. But download Game Time today. Terms apply. But again, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. CHAT Sports. Shout out to Game Time for supporting us here at the Broncos Breakdown. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Now, let's talk about drafting a quarterback, because I still think that has to be accomplished in this draft. Where? I don't know. whether that's at pick number 12, whether that's trading back and acquiring a second rounder, or whether that's waiting till pick 76 in round 3. Those appear to be the 3 most likely options to acquire a quarterback. And I would say all 3 have close to an equal probability of happening. I think the least likely is picking a QB at 12. I think the most likely is trading back and getting one in round 2. And in the middle, Mama Bear would be waiting until 76. But this could be a trade that signals Denver may be bracing for missing out on a quarterback. This could be a trade of, just in case we can't make that trade back, we try our best, but no one wants a 12th overall pick for whatever reason, and we can't get into round 2, and Bo Nix and Michael Penix, our top 2 guys in that round, are gone before our pick at 76. It's not a very good backup plan. Like, it's not a very good consolation prize in Zach Wilson, but at least it's better than having no backup plan. The Broncos, I'll say it right now, and this is not a hot take, ready? They have to draft a quarterback. They have to draft a quarterback. I don't think it should be at pick 12. I don't think it should be forcing a quarterback selection. But you got to bring someone in. You got to throw a dart at the board. And maybe you get bullseye, maybe not. But they have to bring someone in. A quarterback room of Jarrett Stidham, Zach Wilson, and Ben DiNucci is the biggest middle finger to this fan base after dumping Russell Wilson, who I'll confidently say is better than all 3 of those quarterbacks. He just is. Was he so much better that the contract was worth it? No. But you already paid the man, so you might as well get the best quarterback play possible. But at Sean Payton, pressure's on, because he's the one that engineered this entire operation to move on from Russell Wilson. And so far, we haven't seen him bring an upgrade in. And he's got one last opportunity to do that in the draft. And there's a good chance he will. But if he doesn't, what was the point of moving on from Russell Wilson? Sure, if you know it's not going to work, better to move on now than later. But also, you're just going to waste everyone's time for a season, getting worse quarterback play and paying a guy like it's freaking Moneyball $35 million to play on the other side of the Mississippi River. Now, quick reminder, as I kind of come down from my TED Talk here, new uniforms for the Broncos. I like the new unis. I do think it's a little bit bizarre that they decided to drop these new uniforms 20, 30 minutes before releasing the throwback uniforms that they will have for this year, which I would say as a country, people collectively like the throwbacks more than the new unis. Like, they really kind of dunked on their own uniforms with throwback uniforms. So timing wasn't great. I'll also add the timing of this trade when already some of the fan base wasn't on board with the jerseys. And I know you got to be bigger than the fans. To trade for Zach Wilson, like, you dealt a lot of people some really bad news today. If they didn't like the unis and they didn't like the trade, you're not really generating a whole lot of positive buzz about this team going into the draft with maybe back-to-back bad moves. So I know it's their job to make the tough decisions, but I like the new uniforms. I said in like the leaked video we did last week that it's tough to gauge what uniforms will look like based on just like pictures from the lab versus them actually on players. But actually seeing them on like Javonte Williams, that reminds me too. Courtland Sutton was not in the video, and some people use that as pretty decent ammunition to believe a Courtland Sutton trade could happen, whereas Patrick Surtain was all over the video. So good chance they're not going to move on from Surtain. However, the Broncos team official store opened up with the new uniforms, and there were Courtland Sutton jerseys in there. So I don't think Denver is actively shopping a Sutton trade, but that doesn't mean if they get an offer they can't refuse, they won't say yes to it. So before we get on out of here, I'll toss this your way. Do you like the new uniforms? Yes or no? I like them. I think the bottom line is they are better than the previous uniforms. They may not be the top 5. They aren't top 5 in the NFL, but they're definitely better. So I think an improvement was made. So for that reason, I'll give a yes. But that's what I was saying earlier. Maybe space out potential bad news. Like, was Zach Wilson going anywhere? Could you trade it for him tomorrow so that it wasn't like back-to-back blows and just the internet dunking on the Broncos within a span of 4 hours? So That will do it for us on our breakdown of the Zach Wilson trade. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to subscribe down below in the comments section, or make sure to hit scroll on down, hit the sub button above the comment section. I can't even deliver a sub read correctly. I don't think I generated a single subscriber at the end there. There's a better chance I lost a sub or two. Yeah. Okay. Christina likes the new uniforms. Kyle says, I'm okay with the uniforms. I'll also add with uniforms, I kind of wonder sometimes if teams do this. Uniforms look very different on screens than in person.
Yes.
And the color orange is very difficult
It is.
to make look the same on both.
Mhm.
It's just like science, I guess, right? It would fall under the science
yeah.
umbrella
Yeah.
of like, when you see uniforms in person and then you see them on TV, like, for example, sometimes like the thing that comes to mind is like Army Navy.
Mhm.
They get very creative with their uniforms. One of those two teams, I can't remember which one, had like all white unis and had white names on the back. And you couldn't read them on TV. But in person, you could read them. And so the point I'm making is I wonder if teams will look at how the jerseys look on TV. Because if you're just looking in person at Nike's factory, you're not going to see it the way majority of people see it, which is the millions of people watching on TV. I like them. Yeah, JKM, I think they could have done without as many triangles. I know what they're getting towards, the elevation, the mountains, and all that stuff. We get it. Less is more. You didn't have to just like glitter the whole uniform with triangles. Just tone it down. It's a little bit like when you have like a make your own pizza birthday party when you're 6 and you're like, I'm going to put all the pepperoni on my pizza. It's like, nah, I think the folks at Papa John's have a decent idea of how to do it. Maybe you just need some pepperoni.
Just a little.
Just a little. You might have overdone it. Ivan says, I've seen people design better on Twitter. Maybe. I think they've... I will say I do like how the uniform has a lot of, like, historical clues to it. I'm a history, like, nerd, so I appreciate how they took that into consideration to really have it reflect the state and the city. And I think they accomplished that in a lot of ways. I think they're pretty cool. I like the white helmets. I kind of like how they reduced the size of the Broncos helmet just a little bit. Like 15% has been the number I've seen on the helmet. I kind of like the shoulder of like the mountains sort of. I think it's kind of cool. Do you like it?
I think you mentioned during your kind of rant earlier that people are naturally going to be more fans of the throwback uniforms than these.
Yeah, just the timing was wrong with all
It
three
was.
things they did today.
Yeah, they really did.
Like, they should have done the jerseys today, Zach Wilson tomorrow, throwback unis in June or July.
Yeah.
When you've got nothing going on and you want, like, I don't know why they cucked themselves.
They really did.
They really got, like, I kind of wonder if they just accidentally scheduled 2 tweets.
Maybe.
And they didn't mean to have it go on the same day. Like, Sean Payton has put the clamps down a little bit on the social media team since taking over. So they finally get an opportunity to do their jobs. And they're like, you know what? We get our biggest story in a long time. Let's drop them on the same day. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. I love this all-time football take here. I don't care about the uniform, says Troy. I care about wins. That's right, everyone.
That's a big
The rest of
football
us
guy
don't
right
care about wins. We're actually just here for Milan Fashion Show. Troy, look good, feel good, play good. Freshman football coach told me that.
Yeah.
I was like, that just changed my whole life. Look good, feel good, play good.
There you go.
Forgot his name, though. Coach Travis, I think. Mango, Pete, did you notice the triangles on the back? They're everywhere. They're kind of like insects, these triangles.
Yeah, because they're on
the little one, yes. I do like the 5280, right, from Mile High. Unfortunately, the moment these jerseys were released, our Raiders corner in the office was like, whoa, 5280. Is that for how many days it's been since the Broncos beat the Raiders? And I was about to give an actual intelligent response of like, no, it's actually Mile. I was like, oh, I see what they did there. They baited me. That was successful. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we got DC Viper here. All right. Once again, the Russell Wilson.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Zach Wilson, which, by the way, I think. All right, let's get a quick vote here. Name the organization that would have delayed new jerseys to next year so that Zach Wilson could wear number 3 and the Broncos could continue selling Wilson number 3 jerseys to save some money. It wouldn't be Denver. Walton Penner spares no expense. But I do think that there would be some cheapo owners that would be like, ooh, I can save some money and continue selling Russell Wilson jerseys at full price because now it's just Zach Wilson.
Yeah. Wilson gets traded to Denver?
I'm trying to think what team would do, like what kind of ownership would do. Oh, I like the Bengals. That seems like a Bengals type of thing to do to save.
Oh, yeah.
To penny pinch and nickel and dime people.
Dude, they do it all the time. And it's so annoying.
Bengals seems like a good candidate for that. I think the Cardinals owner is kind of shady.
No,
that seems like something where like the whole, like the rest of the front office, like, hey, we're dropping the new unis on Monday. He's like, no, we're not. Do it next year. I want to save a couple of tens of thousands of dollars on jerseys. I don't think the Raiders would do it, but I think they're a good answer.
I mean, the Davis family is known to be kind of not the richest in the NFL.
He's the poorest cash.
Yeah.
Tyman says the Browns. I don't think the Browns would do it. Like Jimmy Haslam has spent a lot of money.
I don't think the
Vikings, I don't think they would do that.
No.
Although I will say the Vikings, I'm probably going to get a detail or two wrong here. We all know the story about when the Vikings didn't make their pick in time in the draft.
Yep.
And they went back.
Yep.
Some believe that the Vikings owner at the time wanted to move back, but they couldn't find a trade solely because they didn't want to pay their rookie that much money. And if they moved back a couple spots, it would be cheaper to sign their first round pick.
Right.
That is the ultimate middle finger to your GM. You can't do your job because I don't want to pay a guy worth the 9th overall pick. I'd rather move back some spots. We got Alex Smith here. Mango, what are your top 5 unis? Top 5 uniforms. Ooh, I'm a little bit of an old soul. I like the simplistic uniforms.
You are a.
I think I can answer this question better with the top 5 uniforms I hate.
Yeah.
I hate the Cardinals and the Giants. I just think the Cardinals helmet is the most bland thing ever. White with just the bird.
With the bird.
I can't stand the Cardinals. I think the Giants uniform, and I say I like bland. Giants is too bland. There's just nothing there at all. I don't like those two at all. I don't like the Jets uniforms. I don't like the Packers because it's like the see-through mesh. Like, grow up. Get real jerseys. I don't like the AFC West is fine. AFC North. Those are the top 4 that come to mind. Okay. If you want to get on screen, by the way, we'll have a little bit of like a discourse, a little back and forth. But super chat, we haven't got a super chat yet today. If we get some super chats, we can continue going here. Or hashtag Broncos. So if you've got a take you want to share regarding the Zach Wilson trade, hashtag Broncos in the chat right now. Producer Colin will start pulling some of the questions he sees, comments, takes, things like that. And if you want to support the show and get on screen, super chats are greatly appreciated. But if you're unable to, no harm, no foul. Just make sure to like the video. We have 210 people hanging out with us, 72 likes. Can we get ourselves to 100 likes? Need 28 of you watching right now to go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Hashtag Broncos, though, in the chat if you want to get on screen. I'm going to get some shout outs. We got Alex Smith. I've got I'm Frey, a longtime viewer. Good to see you in the chat, dude. Victory Lap, SC, Sky Guy, Troy. Dion Sharp is here. Dion. Comment section MVP. Undoubted. Haven't seen Octavio Rodriguez. He's always like one of the Noti members. I've got MNZ, Sula, One Eye Jacks, Mango 2918, DC Viper, what's going on? Speak of the devil. What do you think the team does now after the Wilson trade? Draft a wide receiver like Brian Thomas, tight end Bowers, or trade back for Penix? I really hope that trading for Zach Wilson doesn't mean we're going to do something different in the draft. Zach Wilson should not have that big of an impact on a team's draft. Like, Zach Wilson should mean, in case we don't get this guy like we plan to, we have some backup plan in place. If Denver still wants a quarterback at 12, they should get that quarterback. I don't think there's a quarterback worth the 12th overall pick. But Sean Payton said, we don't care where everyone thinks that guy should go. If we like him, we're going to take him. And part of me goes like, kudos to you, because it sounds so crazy pre-draft to take guys ahead of where they're supposed to go. But then you look back at drafts, and people would have laughed the Seahawks out of their room if you suggested Russell Wilson in round 1. You do a redraft today, he goes round 1. Same for Kirk Cousins. Laughed him out of the room. He goes round 1. So if they really, same for Dak Prescott. You can find good quarterbacks later in the draft. It's much more difficult, but it's not impossible. I think they should, my dream for them would be Brock Bowers. I just think Brock Bowers, it fits a need for them. They have no tight end room. No offense to Adam Trotman and Greg Dulcich, but they can't hold a candlestick to Brock Bowers. And I know that still leaves you looking for a quarterback, but I'd rather take the safe pick here at 12 and not force Bo Nix, have it fail quickly like Paxton Lynch, and then you go into next year's draft, and now you've basically gone 3 years with no first rounder. Because if you miss on a defensive tackle, they're still going to be part of your rotation, and they'll still play for 4 seasons most likely. They may not just be as uberly productive as you wanted. If you miss on a quarterback, they're not playing at all. So I'd rather go the safe route with Bowers at 12, and if you're not able to trade back, and then somehow try to get Michael Pratt, Bo Nix, or Michael Penix Jr. in day 2. Not sure where in day 2, but that would be my ideal path if I were the Broncos. Sky Guy with a $5 super chat. Let's go, Sky Guy. First super chat of the day, and Sky Guy's first super chat ever. Sky Guy, a little 2-clap action, little 1-2. Let's go. Is Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy out of the picture? I don't think Bo Nix is out of the picture. I think Nix and Penix are going to be available for round 2. Maybe a team trades to pick 32 or 31 with the Chiefs or Niners and takes Penix or Nix there, kind of like we saw the Vikings do with Teddy Bridgewater and the Ravens did with Lamar Jackson, where it's not even about wanting to get the quarterback for sure, but get him in round 1 so you can get that 5th-year option for the player. I think that JJ, if all the smoke is real, Denver's got a tough uphill battle to climb to get him. However, the only path I think the Broncos have for getting JJ McCarthy is if the Patriots remove themselves from the quarterback discussion. Let's say the Vikings trade up from 11 to 3 with New England, and they go Drake Maye or Jayden Daniels at 3. That means the Cardinals pick at 4 is definitely for sale. The Cardinals GM said today it's for sale. And the Broncos could go from 12 to 4 to get JJ. That sounds super simple, right? Sure, you got to give up a lot of future draft picks, but it could be done. Here's the issue. If the Patriots go from 3 to 11, Robert Kraft has his hands all over this draft. And he said, word for word, I want a young quarterback. I don't think Robert Kraft will accept a draft that does not involve one of the top 4 quarterbacks. So if it comes down to Patriots at 11 and Broncos at 12, my suspicion is the Cardinals will take the Patriots offer. New England at that point could offer an earlier first-round pick, just by 1 spot. And they can offer maybe pick 23 that Minnesota gives to New England to move up. And that way the Cardinals still have 2 first-round picks this year. It'll just be a little bit tougher for Denver to outbid New England in that scenario. As for Bo Nix, I think he's going round 2, which means Denver will either have to do one of 2 things. Trade back from 12 and acquire a second rounder, or trade up from 76 and give up future assets. Maybe they'll do that, maybe not. But that seems to be the most likely outcome of that. I think if between those two, Bo Nix is more likely, but I wouldn't say they're both out of the picture yet. JKM, what's going on, dude? With the Wilson trade, by the way, like, what are the chances they trade for 2 Wilson quarterbacks?
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. With the Wilson trade, who do you think the Broncos starting quarterback next season? I think it's Jarrett Stidham's job to lose. I still have Jarrett Stidham as this team's starting quarterback. I think he starts week 1. Even if they take Bo Nix or Michael Penix, I'm not sold on either of those guys winning the job in camp. Maybe they will, but I think it'll be Stidham's job to lose. And I don't think he'll lose it in training camp. So it's not like Stidham looked unplayable the last 2 games of the season. Did he bring a spark? No, he didn't. Let's not beat around the bush here. But I think there's a world where Jarrett Stidham can fend off a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix for a few weeks in August. May not have the starting job gig for long. You can look at the quarterback room, how I got it laid out. But I think he could hold on to that starting job for 4 or 5 weeks in August during training camp. So that would be my prediction. Jarrett Stidham is your week 1 starter. JKM, thank you for the question, though. I really appreciate it. If you have any other questions, be like my new bestie, Sky Guy. Super chat, guarantee it gets on screen. Or you can go the hashtag Broncos route, and that just means producer Cullen Brown, he picks his favorite questions. And maybe he likes your question, maybe not. I don't know. That's for Cullen to decide.
Both questions have come in, so
yeah,
they're on screen.
Mm-hmm. We got DC Viper. We got a question from DC Viper, so we'll throw that on screen. Mile High, Alex Smith, Phoenix, Kyland. See all you guys in the chat right now, hashtag Broncos, and that way our software can read it and put it on screen. DC, where do you think we need the most help? Edge or center? I think you mean edge or center, right? I would say edge rusher. And that's really valuing the difference in positions. Like, if you got a bad center, you can kind of tread water if your 2 guards are really good. And Quinn Miners is a Pro Bowl to borderline all-pro player, and Ben Powers is a above-average guard. They can help out a young, inexperienced center. Pass rusher is the second most important position in football after quarterback. You can't get a great quarterback. You got to stop the quarterback. And I like Denver's pass rushing core of Cooper, Browning, and Benito, but I definitely think it's worth adding to. So I would say edge would be a bigger need. It would be a bigger help to this team. Thomas, next one up. Building from the trenches like the Ravens is surely a way to success. Think this gives us options in the draft. I just don't think trading for Zach Wilson means we go about the draft differently. I just think it means you have something to fall back on in case plan A, plan B, and probably plan C all go down the toilet. And you beat other teams to the punch to get Wilson in case they don't have their plan A or B or C come through. I don't mind the idea of building in the trenches. Man, I really wish Denver needed an offensive lineman this year. Unless they trade Garrett Bowles, I think they'll just wait to get a replacement for him if they do move on after 2024 in next year's draft. But maybe they love an offensive lineman so much they can't pass on him. Thomas, I appreciate the question, though. Sky Guy with another $5 super chat. Let's go. Been watching you since start of last season. Thank you for keeping Broncos Country up to date. Keep up the good work, man. Super informative. Sky Guy, thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. I love my job. I love waking up in the morning and either 2 things happened. 1, news happened, and I know what I'm going to talk about coming into work. In this case, that was Levi Wallace signing and the new helmets dropping. Or B, like spending my morning routine thinking like, what am I going to talk about today? Just kind of putting together some dots. So I love my job. Sky Guy, people like you make it 10 times better, though, by being such consistent viewers. So thank you so much, and big ups to you. Phoenix, next one up. Is Payton able to transform this Wilson? Because both Wilsons have the same play style. Phoenix, I'm on the same page, dude. Like, Zach Wilson is just going to drive Sean Payton up the wall even more. He really couldn't stand Russell holding onto the ball for a long time and taking sacks. Like, that was a documented complaint. That's Zach Wilson. He fumbles a lot because he holds onto the ball forever, and he just does not read defenses well. Now, maybe Sean Payton thinks if I can fix that, I can get a good processor with an incredible arm strength, and that's why he went number 2 overall. If there's a quarterback that can fix Zach Wilson, I would say Sean Payton would be towards the top of the list. He could probably do a better job with him than maybe like Robert Salah could. Or Nathaniel Hackett. But I think after this point, sometimes you just know who the guy is. He's not good. He just isn't. Broncos for life, next one up. Do you think that there could be a possibility that we trade Patrick Surtain after acquiring this? I don't think Levi Wallace comes in here and that opens up Surtain trade doors. I think it just gives you a little bit more breathing room at that CB2 position in case Riley Moss doesn't have a great training camp. And you don't find a corner you really liked in the draft. I think both these moves today send very subtle messages of Denver bracing to not get the guys they want at those positions in the draft. And they'd rather have plan B now than wait till after the draft. And then at that point, another team has signed Levi Wallace and another team has traded for Zach Wilson. So they're kind of getting ahead of it now. That's how I interpret it. But no, I don't think signing Levi Wallace means, all right, now we're a little bit more, comfortable with trading Pat Surtain. I don't think Patrick Surtain's going anywhere. Jonathan, next one up. What did the Broncos give up for Zach Wilson? Great question, Jonathan. You can look at the trade details here. Day 3 pick swap. They gave up their 6th rounder, and they acquired Wilson and a 7th. Basically, getting Zach Wilson meant move back 49 spots in the draft. I've got no real qualm with this. Like with what you gave up to get him, I'm okay with that. I'm not going to lose sleep over, and pick 207 was going to be a fucking Hall of Famer. Probably not. I think we can all make do with moving back 49 spots, and maybe the upside of the number 2 overall pick comes through. I'm okay with that gamble. What I don't want to see happen is that's the only move that's made. There better be other quarterback additions. Official Juan, do you think Zach is better than Jarrett Stidham? I don't think he is. If I had to put my life on the line and pick one quarterback to win a game for me, and they both have the same roster, I'd probably pick Jarrett Stidham over Zach Wilson. We can play this game down the line, though. Like,
how many? Yeah.
Zach Wilson or Aiden O'Connell?
Aiden O'Connell doesn't turn the ball over.
I don't know.
Like, that's a tough one, but, like...
This is tough.
Aiden O'Connell did drop.
I legitimately think we are debating between, if you got 32 teams, 32 starters, 32 backups, 64 in total.
Yeah.
I think we're arguing about who's better, 59 or 60.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think they're very close to 62.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I mean, they're both bad. Let's not kid ourselves here. If you want to get on screen, super chat like Sky Guy has been doing so far. Major salute to you for supporting the channel. Or hashtag Broncos. If you super chat, though, it helps support the channel, and it's very much appreciated. And you skip the line. Hashtag Broncos, more than acceptable. Just producer Cullen picks the questions he wants, the ones that populate on the screen. All right, we got one more from DC. Let's throw DC's question on, and if we don't get another super chat, we will have to sign off because studio space is at a premium for the NFL Draft Week, and other people are going to be knocking on the door soon. So if we get a super chat, we can continue hanging out here in Studio F. Otherwise, someone else will invade and conquer. DC, next one up, though. Do you see Javonte Williams being traded, or does Denver consider trading a running back late in the draft? I don't know what team would trade for Javonte Williams. Like, he's entering the final year of his contract, and all 3 years have been underwhelming. Mostly due to injury. Like, year 1 was just a 50-50 split with Melvin Gordon, but he had some good moments in year 1. But I don't think anyone came out of year 1 thinking, like, this is a guy that's going to be a starting running back for 8 to 9 years guaranteed. Year 2, there's the injury. Year 3, it's the road to recovery from the injury. So I just don't know what team is going to give you a respectable offer for him. Would a team trade a 7th for him? Sure, they would. Would Denver? Probably not. They'd be like, it's not worth a 7th, and we're not looking to move on from him. So I just don't see a way that a Javonte Williams trade really materializes. Snipes, do you think that we will still draft a QB? Dude, I sure hope so. I think it's a fireable offense if you move on from Russell Wilson and don't add a quarterback other than Zach Wilson.
Oh, my God. That's freaking super.
Noah. This might be Tom Downey's burner. Odds the MILF man is our franchise QB. I'm going to read to you guys word for word the message I got from one of the long tenured employees here at Chat Sports. He's married with a child. First thing he says, I dare you to open up Broncos with Broncos Country. Let's MILF. I was like, you're the elder of the two.
Yeah.
He's close to home.
Mm-hmm.
He's close to those Utah moms. I think if there is like a spin zone here, he'd probably do better if his career started like in Denver versus New York. I always felt like New York was going to chew him up.
Yeah.
Like, just never felt like he was going to have a good fit there. He can hang out with Garrett Bowles. Two LDS guys. I think there's another LDS guy on the team. Odds the MILF fans are very low odds. Noah. Very low odds. Jonathan, what's going on? Do you think Courtland Sutton will be traded? I don't think he will be. No one traded for him last year. And his stock this year is in an interesting spot. On one hand, he had 10 touchdowns a season ago. On the other hand, he's a year older, and that means one less year on his contract, and his contract has $13 million in base salary. So unless Denver gets an offer they can't refuse, and with how good the wide receiver draft class is this year, why wouldn't a team just draft a wide receiver and go for 13th the price and 6 years younger? If it was a bad wide receiver class, okay. I just don't think it's going to happen this year. Phoenix. I think the Broncos should trade down with the Rams, get defensive line and Bo Nix second round. I think Phoenix has been watching the Broncos breakdown because that has definitely been a topic we've discussed. My suspicion is the Rams are going to go offensive line. There's a lot of good tackles in this class, but a lot of teams in between pick number 12 with the Broncos and pick 19 or 18 with the Rams need offensive line. The Saints, the Colts. Could we see the Rams leapfrog them and go get their preferred tackle like Olu Fashanu? And Denver inherits a second-round pick, and that's where they get Bo Nix. And then at pick 18 or 19, I can't remember which one the Rams is. I would not hate a Jared Verse or a Leatu Latu selection. Or if Terrion Arnold is still there, sign me up instantly. I think that's a much better outcome if they walk away with Turner and Nix. I think Brock Bowers just can't miss.
It is fair.
And I'm almost concerned how much I like him as a prospect.
Where's he on your big board, you'd say?
I put him at like 6, I think.
Okay.
Probably go Caleb Williams. Nope. Marvin Harrison, Caleb Williams.
Yep.
Roma Dunze, Malik Neighbors, Bowers, May, Daniels.
Okay. No Joe Alton there.
I forgot about Joe Alt. I put Alt at like 6 or 7. May, Alt, Daniels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Alt he's like the guy in Game of Thrones, the Mountain. He's 6'9".
Massive human.
He's an NBA player on an NFL field.
Wow.
Who's getting around that guy? No one. Absolutely no one. Grizzly Prod. Should we draft QB this year and wait? Should we not draft QB this year and wait and draft Shedeur Sanders next year? I think if you go get a quarterback in round 2 this year, that does not stop you from getting Shedeur next year. If you're getting Shedeur next year, chances are you're picking early in the draft, which means Bo Nix or Michael Penix or any other day 2 quarterback you took probably didn't work out very well. So I'd be okay with quickly throwing in the towel. Like, if you miss on a second or third, that does not put franchises back. You miss on a first, and you hadn't had a first the last 2 years, make it 3 years in a row, now you're kind of encroaching the Rams territory. The difference is they've got a ring to show for it, and they still have Matthew Stafford. Neither the Broncos have. Broncos for life. I've been watching since last season. I know Broncos fan 1675, yeah. But besides that, what do you think our record will be this year? Good to see you again. I remember Broncos 16. You had the white logo, the white avatar, picture. I'm going to say probably, I don't think Sean Payton will allow this team to be that bad. I think they're going to be a 7-10 team. That's kind of my reaction. They've got some skilled players that can help gut out some wins. But I think they'll be around 6 or 7. I think they'll be more likely to be 6 than 8 wins. And I know that's not what you wanted to hear today, but that's my honest opinion. All right. Last question, unless we get another super chat from Snipes. What's your opinion on the new unis? I like them. I think they are better than the old uniforms. I don't think they are top 5 uniforms in the NFL, but I do think, and you can look at the pictures here, they are good uniforms. I have some critiques, a little bit too many triangles, but overall, I like them more than the previous uniforms. I think it's a little bit of like when the Chargers got new unis. This is like Chargers uniforms light, where it feels like it's from the same tree, but it's just Broncos colors more. So, all things considered, I like them. I don't love them. I don't think they're uniforms I'd stand on a table for, but I'd get one. Like, I think that's kind of the bar. Like, would you ever spend your money on that? I don't think they're so awful and ugly that I would never spend $1 on it. All right. If we get another super chat, we can keep the show going. Otherwise, we do have to sign off. That's just the way it works at Chat Sports when it comes to occupying a studio. We're getting, I probably shouldn't say. I almost jumped the gun. Chat Sports news and rumors. Just developments in the work. Put it that way. We'll keep an eye. Very excited. Very excited. Love the growth of the company. I'm a little surprised at the poll, by the way. Do you like the Zach Wilson trade? 51% say yes. I thought it would be flip-flopped. I thought the no would have the lead. But it's razor thin.
It also is for, like you said, basically nothing.
It's basically nothing, so, like, you can't be too upset about it. The only reason to be upset about the trade is that it's just embarrassing.
Yeah,
like, you're the team that traded for Zach Wilson. Like, that's not a badge of honor.
Right.
And maybe you'll be the one that gets the last laugh if you save and turn around Zach Wilson's career. I don't think you will. If it doesn't work out, it's not a big deal because it costs you nothing other than people made fun of you online. And that's worth noting. I don't like being made fun of. It's not fun being in the office and everyone gets jokes off at your expense.
We all have those days, man.
Yeah. No one likes being that guy. All right. Producer Sam?
I hate it here still.
Yeah, he's not having a lot of fun. I did add your moving home pivot to the show. He's back closer to Salt Lake City, one city at a time.
Some targets on the market have reopened themselves.
All right. We will sign off. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It is NFL Draft Week. We're going to be live. Quick plug. We're going to be live Thursday for round 1. And that is the only live we'll have for the 3 days of the draft on the Broncos Breakdown specifically. Our mothership here at Chat Sports, the Chat Sports main channel, we live all 3 days of the draft from well before it starts to well after it ends. So come hang out over there, by the way, but we will be live for the first round pick. So make sure to hang out here at the Broncos Breakdown. Enjoy the rest of your Mondays. I feel like this has been a very busy Monday.
Yeah.
Busy Broncos. New unis. Then they cucked their new uniform announcement with the throwback announcement.
The signing.
The signing. Let me actually go in chronological order. Thank you. Levi Wallace. New unis. Cuck the new unis news with the throwback news. Zach Wilson trade.
Yeah.
I think that's everything. And it all happened in the span of 6 or 7 hours.
One last thing, too. I sent it to you. I don't know if you saw it. You probably already knew this already. Zach Wilson is the same age as Bo Nix, and Michael Penix turns the same age, I think, relatively soon. So
That's pretty jarring.
That's a little just insight
Yeah.
on how old Zach Wilson is.
I have a few more. I have 2 birthday ideas. 2 birthday things. One, Sam Darnold has been in the league since 2018. He's 26 years old. freakishly young.
Yeah.
Like, go look at some of the best quarterbacks in football. A lot of them kind of started getting that groove. Like Aaron Rodgers was about 26 when he took over in Green Bay.
Yep.
Like, just food for thought. That's all. The other weird one is Calvin Ridley and Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's like 6 months older than Calvin Ridley.
And Ridley's been in the league not nearly as long as
And they
Cooper
didn't overlap in college.
which is weird.
And Amari Cooper was a first-round pick in 2014. And despite being separated by 6 months, they never played together at Alabama. Very strange. All right, we will sign off. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. And get ready for the draft, baby.